Ladies and gentlemen, let's Red Gaming Tentacom video. We have further information on the Wii U. One of the hot topics on the Wii U, and the thing it's been most criticized for, is of course a lack of third-party support. In a recent shareholders meeting, Nintendo's boss, that would be the president Satoru Iwata, has explained the reason for the lack of third-party support and is actually trying to address it as we speak. He starts off and he says, when addressing the fact that there are very, very few third-party games available and being announced for the Wii U, he says this is not a universal trend, but each software developer has its own faults. He also continues and says other big publishers have made all of their main games available on the platform. He further explains, there were so many games released by third-party publishers for the Wii U during the launch period, but most of them were converted from other platforms and therefore could not enjoy brisk sales. As a result, some software developers have become pessimistic about Wii U. Without going into detail, there are more key titles to be announced from third-party developers. The time will come when some third-party games for Wii U and for other platforms are released at the same time this year. It is important to be given as much momentum for the Wii U as possible during that time period. He also continued and spoke about the unique features of the Wii U and basically pointed out, and I quote, even if these publishers did not have any concrete plans to develop for Wii U software, they will swiftly change their minds when they see the successful examples from others. End quote. And to be fair to him, he does touch on a couple of really important points. Now, one of the primary issues with the Wii U, other than the circle that we've spoken about so many times now, in other words, I want more sales of your hardware before I develop for you. Okay, well, before I buy your hardware, I want to see more games, and therefore it becomes the catch-22, which of course has been the downfall of many systems. But to be fair to Nintendo, because they bought the system out, it's kind of like the late in the game, late in the Xbox 360 and PS3's lifespan. What really happened was a lot of titles were ported. Some really successfully, others felt like they were tacking on the Wii's unique features, in other words, the pad. And what happened, of course, and I've pointed this out before, but I'll just go into it again. Let's say you've bought Mass Effect 1, 2, and logically 3 on the PS3. Why in the name of holy goodness would you buy it again for the Wii U? Okay, so let's assume that you've not played Mass Effect 3. Let's just assume somehow you've lived under a rock and you've not played it, or let's just say that, you know, you just haven't played it. And let's say you see Mass Effect 3. The most likely course of action if you've bought a Wii U is you've either owned a Wii before, which is unlikely. You've probably owned a Wii in conjunction with either an Xbox 360, a PS3, or a PC, or multiple. For example, I owned a PS3, a PC, and an Xbox 360. And so, okay, the Wii U comes out, Mass Effect 3 comes out as well, and yeah, why would you buy it? Assuming you've not played Mass Effect 1 and 2, let's assume that you've even bought Mass Effect 1 and 2 on, say, the PS3, just for example, or the Xbox 360 or PC, whatever system. Let's say you've bought them on that, and okay, so you've got, say, Mass Effect on PC. Why in the name of holy hell would you then buy Mass Effect 3 for the Wii? It just doesn't make sense. Because it's a storyline that is continuous. One title goes to the other title, goes to the other title. So, okay, you can make a series of decisions at the start of the game, but come on now, you can't expect that game to do well. I mean, when I first saw it was being confirmed, I thought, oh, okay, cool, Mass Effect. And I didn't actually realise at the time that it was just literally a Mass Effect 3. I actually thought that it was the collection that had been announced, where it was like Mass Effect 1 and 2 and all these other titles in conjunction. No, it was just Mass Effect 3. And I thought, well, why? I honestly couldn't think of a reason for them to do that. And there have been some reports that there are multiple reasons that people are not designing for the Wii U, but primarily it's sales. Okay, some people have called the hardware horrible. I mean, it was one Electronic Arts engineer, and I quote, he called the system crap, and I do use that word because he did use that word. I've actually done a video on this. You can check it out. You can type in Wii U crap on the channel and it will literally pop up, and it is a quote. I can't remember the guy's name offhand, but it is in the video, so you can check it out. I could pause it and Google, but I'm going to be lazy because I've just done a leg workout at the gym, so I can do that. Ha ha ha. And you can always Google it yourselves if you want to be curious. And he spoke about the hardware side of things and everything else, but to be honest, it doesn't matter how crap the system is hardware-wise. The original Wii, was an abomination in terms of how powerful it was. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if you got your cell phone, if it's a reasonably modern one, you hooked it up via HDMI to your TV, you're probably going to have about as much computing power. In fact, to be honest with you, if I took out a pocket calculator, I'd probably have more processing power in it than the Wii. It's basically just an overclocked GameCube. There are a couple of exceptions here and there, but generally speaking it is. And of course, one doesn't really need to be a genius to know that there have been certain issues with the Wii as well. But the bottom line is, they would get around it if the system sold, because that's all that matters. It's numbers, and I'm not criticizing Electronic Arts. I'm not criticizing any company. I believe it was Iwata today who reported about just how unprofitable Zombie U was. And the problem is, when you launch titles as the first wave of games that are released on any system, it's kind of to be expected that the sales are going to be a bit iffy, because how many people actually own the system? In my personal opinion, here, and by all means, I'm pointing out that I'm not a console designer, I am not a console marketer, I have not created a console in my life, but I have been around for a while, and in terms of gaming, and when they said that they were launching it I think the problem they had, and this is my personal opinion, was that there weren't enough games available for launch that were super strong from first party and third party. I don't know if they should have delayed the launch, because the problem is, if they delayed the launch further, then you get closer to the PS4 territory. And I'm not just using PS4 as an example. You could by all means substitute that for the Xbox One or whatever system you would like to. And so the problem is, they're kind of caught in this rock and a hard place right now, where people want to support Nintendo. To be honest, I do. I'm not going to lie. I still kind of root for them. I personally believe they've done some really stupid stuff. Stuff like the whole trying to make money from people's YouTube channels if they do Let's Plays and other Nintendo content. And this is from first-party content, so Mario, Zelda, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that was a good idea. I've mentioned this in another video. You can check it out if you want more of my opinion. The basic brief premise is that, look, most YouTube traffic in terms of percentage, and this has been on a recent survey as well, so you can check it out if you want, is actually for fans. In other words, from those people who are putting together Let's Plays, who are putting together user reviews and so forth and so on. And the thing is, ultimately speaking, it's free advertising for your game, and the problem is they need that right now. So I'm not saying that it was a huge mistake on the scale of, I don't know, setting or building a light or something similar, but it was a pretty odd decision from them. And I think other companies such as Capcom, they really embrace it, especially for Street Fighter. One of the reasons for this is because that they know that the community, the streaming community and so on, really help to sell the games. So, what are my thoughts on this latest, on what Satoru has basically said? Well, I don't think it's anything particularly new. And honestly speaking, more to the point, I don't really think it's any answers. I mean, sure, he's saying that there are going to be some more third-party games. Great. Not going to dispute there will be. I would be shocked if suddenly there were no third-party games whatsoever being in development for the system. But the question is it going to be enough? Personally, I'm hoping for yes, because I don't want Nintendo to be counted out. It's worth noting that even if Nintendo were somehow or another, let's say the Wii U was just abysmal, let's just say that the Wii U literally sold no more consoles for its entire life, and no one bought software for it, and it was just a massive failure. So I'm talking an abysmal failure. They still would not be out of the console race. Why? Because they've got huge amounts of cash reserves. And so it's most likely, I mean, I'm just purely surmising here, but it's most likely they're going to do their best to try and salvage the situation the absolute best they can, and then prepare themselves to launch another killer system in a couple of years' time or whenever they can. That's just me completely with a hypothesis. That does not necessarily mean it will be so. Regardless, I'm going to get going. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I will see you soon. Take care and bye for now.